you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from theChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys. For 16 years, we've been bringing you all the smartest people, the most brilliant authors, the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House presidential advisors. You name it. Pulitzer Prize winners. I mean, just the brightest people that bring you their knowledge, their experience, their stories that are the fabric of their life, and they share them with you. And guess what? We don't charge a dime for the show, so it's all free. So go back and watch all 2,000 episodes of the Chris Voss Show for the last 16 years, and if you still don't get it, watch them all again. We have an amazing young lady on the show today. She's going to be talking to us about her insights in her book that just came out May 16th, 2024. It's called Master the Art of Despites. Excuses shape our destiny, not our goals. Dr. Axa Yox is on the show with us today. We'll be talking to her about her insights as well, and her new book as well. She has a master's in physiology and a specialty diploma in biotechnology, PhD in microbiology with a focus on genetics. She has a big brain, ladies and gentlemen. She studied many years in Europe, Germany, Australia, Switzerland, Greece, and won a first prize award, multiple highest ranked international scholarships, including Fulbright, and was an expert at the World Bank programs, the invited expert to the program at the French Embassy, and the expert at presidential program in her home country, the only representative from her home country to the largest European program. She's done 12 inventions, was nominated as a person of extraordinary ability, and at the top of achievements, quit science, moved to the U.S., and built her own company. Welcome to the show. How are you, Dr. Yox?
Thank you for welcoming. I cannot imagine that I did all that you mentioned right now.
There you go. And all at the age of 30, right?
Yes, absolutely.
There you go. So give us .coms. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs, please?
So I'm very active on LinkedIn. Definitely people can find me. I'm starting my YouTube channel and also the landing page that they can find. And the book is on Amazon. They're welcome to have it.
There you go. On the big old Amazon in the sky there. So
Yes.
Give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your new book?
Oh, absolutely. So the book is about the technique that I developed while going through the hardship. That's kind of behind the title, Master the Art of Despites. Because I was coming with the background in science where I had very structured life. I was applying for the scholarship. I was very successful. Then you make the project, you obtain the results, you publish, you go for the conferences, and then you repeat the cycle. And when I did several inventions, I decided that I'm ready for starting my own company. And I failed tremendously. I wasn't ready for the real life as it turned out. Then I went through many life-changing events. In 2020, I lost my dad. It was devastating. Then another life-changing event happened in my family. Then my personal trauma, and I moved to live to the US in 2022, and everything was happening so fast, one after another. I didn't have the time to recover. It was quite overwhelming. I didn't have the family in the US. I was completely alone, and I was so sure that I will start my company right away. Like I knew everything, and the company is about the biotech product, and that was something that I didn't expect. And because of all together, I needed obviously to support myself financially. So I wasn't very selective with the job. And I was so sure that I'm starting my company. I'm ready for that. So I would go to work. And then in the evening, I would try to learn everything about the business. And I couldn't do anything. I was procrastinating horribly. This is what happens with so many people. So they go to work, they're unhappy at work. They want to start their own company, but what they do, they slide right back to their comfort zone because the motivation doesn't work. It doesn't last. So I started to check the motivational videos just to see where is that trick? Where is this like nudge that you can change your life, transform it, and keep it there? And that's how I developed accidentally my technique. It helps to rewire the links in your brain, and you see completely different picture. So during the hardship that I was going, when I lost my dad, I gained 40 pounds within really very short period of time, and I couldn't lose any pound. In 3 months, I lost 40 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I sustained sugar-free diet for 18 months already.
Wow. That is awesome.
I sleep 5 hours per day. I have twice meal, and I'm full of energy and everything, right? Because I changed the links in my brain to how I see the world.
That is awesome. 5 hours of sleep, you can get by on that. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And I'm full of energy. I can do whatever I want, even better than I was before.
There you go. Yeah, that'll make you full of energy. I've noticed that when I do intermittent fasting, and I notice that when I'm intermittent fasting, one of the key things is I have more energy. It's pretty nice.
That's the first 3 months. It's very exhausting because you think that you are lacking the food. Where is my sweets? And you feel frustrated. But then when you feel that change, how it affects, the fatigue is gone. You feel better together. You can think better. You see the things which other people don't, and you are like, I don't want to be back. I want to keep that clear mind forever.
Oh yeah, it's something that's really important. Now, on the cover of your book, the word "despite" is the I is lowercase. What does that mean?
It means that everything is in our brain, and once you find how to master the despite, then you get in control of your decisions. You rewire the links in your brain, and you just ready to go.
There you go. And it also says here in the description how life toward becoming unstoppable and living a fulfilled and not fool-filled life. Fool-filled is one word. Tell us about what that means.
When I was procrastinating horribly, I wanted to understand what's happening in our body, especially with specialty in physiology. So I discovered some new things that are not very well highlighted in the literature. So a part is highlighted, part is not. So I will go in really very tiny details, but I believe it's very critical. So it will help people rewire what's happening in their brain. So we have 6 human needs. It's well described, and it depends on what is the life situation. You sequence them in particular sequence. And the first is the certainty, which is for everyone, is the priority, because biologically we are wired to feel safe. We need to make sure that we can avoid pain. And then depending what is the priority, the 3 first are your priority. And what I discovered for me to be true, so per day, we have particular emotions that we go through. And every emotion triggers the shift in our biochemistry. And per need that we have, imagine that you have 6 cups of different volume. And whatever the need for you for that particular need, that's the volume that you have. So we go to work. It's our certainty. We're certain. Whether we are happy or we are unhappy, it doesn't matter. You shift your biochemistry to make sure that you have something certain. But then to distract yourself, especially when something is unhappy, you go for the activities. And you start to fill your different tanks with the fake emotions. But at the end of the day, because emotionally you are exhausted, you fool your body that you did everything. That's why people go from the start of the year with the same list of the goals that they have for the year, and they end the year with completing maybe 10%, the top. And then they just transfer the same list from one year to another. This is the fulfilled life that we are living.
Yeah, it's definitely. So give us a story of your upbringing. How were you raised? How did you grow up? How did you go through some of the experiences you went through, et cetera, et cetera?
I'm coming from the family where background and the knowledge were always the number first priority. My dad was gifted engineer. My mom is engineer as well. And I always grew up with that feeling that you need to make yourself professional to be valued at your working space. That's the line that I always had from my parents. And maybe that was the reason that I was very successful in science. I did several inventions and I couldn't stop. I wanted always to go for more. There was no stop for me.
Oh, wow. So you were pretty driven from the way you were raised, I guess, as a child. That's true. Yes, I believe there is a huge impact from my dad because he was also inventor, very well known in my country, and he did a lot for the country. Yeah, I believe that's what I saw since I was a child, and that's what I brought to my life as well. There you go. Sharing all that good stuff and et cetera, et cetera. What else is there to talk about with your book? Now, I believe you have another book that we want to promote as well. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I was passionate about relationships since I was a child. That's why when I saw what's happening with the singles, I started to see the patterns, because when I was going and I was learning about the motivation, about letting go and all that drives people, it's very well described that we fall for some patterns. And when I started to talk to people, and the singles especially, I saw that there are particular patterns that people fall for. And those patterns keep you single. And I was like, oh, okay, let's highlight them in the book, because it kind of tells the number one mistake that singles make that keeps them single. It's fascinating how it is that whenever you try to date, you fall for the same trap. Like you try to check for the green flags the person has instead of checking for the red flags, because green flag never becomes the reason that you break up with the person, only the red flag. And at the moment, I'm also trying to collaborate with the managers of the companies and help them when they are hiring the new professionals to check for the red flags. Because do you know how much the company loses per every wrong hire? It's minimum 10,000.
Oh, yeah.
And it's up to 50% of the annual salary for that person. It's horrible. And every time when they make the mistake, the company loses so much money. And I suggest the company managers, especially the HR managers, to take the dating classes, because whenever you go with a dating specialist, they teach you how to pick up the person for life. So if next time you need to hire the person, you can end up hiring the person that will always stay in your company.
There you go. So is there a book on this, or what is the coaching on it?
It's coaching. I'm doing, the coaching for the singles, and also I'm starting the classes for managers.
There you go. It's the one thing you learn with business is spending the time and investing to hire well and to vet prospective employees is super important and can save you a lot of brain damage on the back end of problems. And you're right, the same thing is true of dating. If you spend time, trying to figure out what this person's about, what their red flags are. And the funny thing is, most people will tell you what their red flags are on the first few dates, if not right away. They tell you. It's just the problem is most people don't listen. And some of it's sometimes they tell you on a projection, well, my ex did this, because they just want to see how you'll handle that information and if it will cause you to run or what your reply is to it. But no, it's people always tell you, and the problem is when you're dating is that's a contract. So when you agree that, oh, that's not a big deal, oh, you had whatever happened to you, that's not a big deal. Yeah, it is a big deal because you just signed a contract for abuse, basically.
Absolutely, because we are so wired that we need to check the green flags that we start to ignore the red flags. Mm-hmm. And the red flag becomes the reason that you break up. So if you flip that perspective and instead of focusing on the green flags, because once you check all the boxes, you are so happy, I found my soulmate. So you just keep ignoring the red flag, which comes one after another. And then you are like, I'll fix that because your focus is on green flags. We were told check for the green flags.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's one of those things that people just, they I guess they're maybe just so lustful in their head or whatever. They're just so excited to be meeting somebody. They forget to take a hard look at what's in front of you. And if you vet well in dating, you have a better chance of keeping people around, just like you do for an employees. Now, what's your website again so that we can pull that up?
It's the landing page. I don't have the established website yet.
Okay.
So people can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay. And that's a good way to find out about your coaching services as well?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So let's get back to the book, Master the Art of Despites. What does the word despites mean to you? What is the key word of that, and what does that mean to people?
Mostly whenever some hardship happens, people are so easy to give up on their dream. And this is something that I start to realize once I kept repeating myself the excuses that I had in my brain, like in my head. I don't have this, that's why I don't have that. And the chain was endless. And at certain point, I could see the accomplished people just rolling their eyes. Is okay, yeah, just go ahead and keep repeating. And the only person that hears your excuses, it's yourself. Because accomplished people, they are not interested in your excuses. Show me where is your result. And that's what drives them. And before you realize, your excuses become so big, they replace your goal. And at the end of the year, you are like, it's complete year just passed. I did nothing. What I did, I just repeat all my excuses all over again and again. Mm-hmm. And the despite is just to show, despite that, I passed that situation. So if I can do, you can do as well. Just keep going. Keep going. Yes, keep going in the right direction, because that's something that people misunderstand. They think that if they continue going or if they continue doing the same thing, they will have different results. You know what? No, you will end up with the same results.
It's amazing how many people do that. They just keep doing the same thing over and over, and they expect different results, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's when you have to realize, because once you realize what comes from your subconscious, what comes from your conscious, you will never, ever break that link, because we are so wired to the safety from our nature. Nature created us to search for the safety first. And subconscious is so strong that we confuse subconscious with the conscious. So whatever comes, whatever emotion we have, it triggers the change in biochemistry. And we confuse the biochemistry with something that it's our decision. And once you realize where the decision comes from, you have the control over that. Because there is one nuance that it is not very well highlighted. And I would like to bring it up because whenever there is a emotion or the feeling, humans synthesize the hormones. It is well described, and normally people go with very generalized term to make it easy. But there is another group of molecules that our body synthesize. It's neurotransmitters. And the difference is hormones are produced by our endocrine glands. So they are located in different part of our body. We can never control the synthesis of hormones. But what we can control, actually, so everything happens on our subconscious because it is created by the nature to keep us safe. That's why it's subconscious. What we are missing is the synthesis of neurotransmitters, because everything is synthesized in our brain, and this is where we can control. So how? Whenever there is an emotion, there is a synthesis of the hormones. This we cannot control. But there is also the assessment by our conscious, like what happened. And then you start to synthesize the neurotransmitters. This is the regular chain of the reactions. And this is where people think that they cannot break it. So there is an emotion, there is a reaction. What happens when you start to add the extra step is when something bad happened, you have this emotional trigger, which triggers to synthesize the emotion, like the neurotransmitter. Oh, I'm very unhappy. It's sad. What's coming next? You choose to synthesize the new neurotransmitter, which will take under the control everything and tell, that's sad, but I can deal with that. And this is where you break that link, because when you don't explain in details, people think that that's the emotion that I have, how I can break it. But that's when you add this extra layer of the protection, that you choose cautiously that that's the reaction that I'm going to give to that particular event. This is how you rewire the links that exist. And that's how, when you change the life.
There you go. That's how you change your life and quit making excuses, right?
Absolutely. Now I don't have the excuse. I see the sugar, I see the sweets, I don't eat because the link is broken in my head.
There you go. That's a good broken to have, actually.
Absolutely.
All those links and stuff. What are some other things we haven't talked about that are inside the book?
Oh, okay. Yes. It's kind of interesting how we are choosing the partners. So it's kind of the connection between the book and my second book about the relationship that comes from our childhood. So how we even think to choose the partner. Have you ever asked yourself why the child who comes from the upbringing, like the family where they saw the father to have the affair, and they happen to choose the partner who most probably will cheat on them? I was surprised when I saw, like, how is it possible that you choose, or the person chooses always the same type of the partner, not the different?
Yeah.
Are we so selective? And then once you start to realize that everything comes from the links that we have in our brain, and before you understand where the signal comes from, is it from conscious or it's from subconscious? And once you break it, everything shifts.
There you go. Yeah, a lot of times we're stuck in subconscious patterns, and our childhood shapes us. And people don't realize how much of effect your parents really have on you sometimes, and how they can take and shape your experience and everything else, and who you choose. I mean, your father is someone who's supposed to be in life to show a young woman how to, the example of a good man and what a masculine man does in a relationship and raising children. A mother teaches her son what sort of woman to look for, who's nurturing and kind and all those elements, assuming that they are. But yeah, it's an interesting thing there.
Yeah, and another thing that I want to mention also about the technique that I developed is kind of, it relates to tolerance, because the tolerance is what we tolerate. It's the range for anything that happens in our life before the permanent change happens. And that's why whenever we are trying to motivate ourselves, because we have particular tolerance for the event. So if it's above, then we slide back to our comfort zone. But what I found, once you start to neutralize your biochemistry with the technique which is described in the book, because you have your biochemistry nullified, which happens, by the way, when we go to sleep. So you nullify your biochemistry, and in the morning, if you just keep doing the same things, you just end up with the exhausted emotions and you don't change anything in life. But once we hear that very often, motivational speakers are telling you have to build the muscle, you have to build the muscle. And I was like, what does that mean? Being from physiology, I was like, what does that mean? Once I cracked the code, I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So from the biochemistry perspective, everything that we feel, it triggers the shift in your biochemistry. So if you go from this biochemistry to this biochemistry right away, if it is something completely new for you, and if you are scared, you will slide right back to your comfort zone. But what if you go from one biochemistry, slowly adapting yourself to feel fine? This is the biochemistry of the fear. Let's say you want to change, you want to start a new company, but you are scared. If you start the company in one day, you will slide right back to your comfort zone. But if you learn step by step, what is the next step? What is the next step? And you adapt yourself to be okay with that biochemistry. This is how you build the muscle. Because you raise your tolerance, you extend your comfort zone, and then it's fine. You are not scared because the biochemistry of fear is familiar for your body. And once something is happening and you are like, oh, if before you would be absolutely scared because you are not, it's new for you. Now you are like, okay, I know what's that. I'm not scared any longer, because you adapt yourself step by step to feel fine with that biochemistry.
That can make all the difference. That can make all the difference in the world. Really
yes, that's how I changed everything, because before I was coming from the very safe and structured life in academia. I knew everything. Now I knew nothing. I was stepping in the world of business where everybody tells that it's very severe. You have to survive. You have to fight. I was not ready for that. Now I know that I might fail, even though I know that I will fail. I'm not scared because I'm ready to that.
There you go. It's a journey that we go through in life, and some of these influences, being able to override the subconscious mind is like freaking everything. So there you go.
Yeah, it's because when you this is something that we miss. When you name the particular word and when you use it, your brain starts to decode it the way that it feels. So when we say comfort zone, what is the first thing that we associate with the word comfort? It's something cozy, nice, safe, and you try to motivate the person to quit their comfort zone where they are, by the way, already unhappy, and to enter the progress zone and to feel uncomfortable. Majority of people will procrastinate because the way that your brain reads the information, if this is comfort and I'm already unhappy, I don't want to enter the uncomfort zone. But with my technique, what flips, it's not about feeling comfortable to feel uncomfortable, but it's about feeling uncomfortable to stay in your comfort zone. So that's the flip that happens. And once you understand the difference, then the things change. And another thing that could be the explanation, because I believe you heard about the finding from Amy Cuddy. They found these power poles with the elbows out.
Oh, yeah.
If you stand for 2 or 3 minutes, it raises the level of testosterone for 30%. At the same time, it drops down the level of cortisol for 30%. So testosterone, which is considered to be the male hormone, it's present also in female as well. It is responsible for our good mood, for risk-taking, for bravery, while cortisol is the stress hormone. It lowers your metabolism, so you enter the survival mode. And those two hormones are in reverse. So whenever you need to go for something that needs bravery, you need to take the risk, you have to do something to raise your testosterone. And there is another thing that I found in the literature. I was fascinated. So testosterone, cortisol, and estrogen, which is the female sexual hormone, they have the same biochemical basic molecule. What differs, they have different active groups. And depending on the active group, this is how the molecule will behave and interact with the environment. So whenever there is a synthesis of testosterone in our body, there is no synthesis of cortisol. This is how they are in reverse dynamic with each other. So if you want to drop the cortisol, then you have to do something to raise your testosterone.
There you go. There you go. This is really important for stuff to take and do that will make all the difference in life and shaping you. Give us your final thoughts as we go out. Tell people where they can go to your websites or find out more about you.
Yes, the LinkedIn would be the best to find me because I'm very active on LinkedIn. I share the content. I start my YouTube channel, so you can find me, Axa Yox. And obviously subscribe for my newsletter. I send the very interesting topics every Saturday. So you will learn a lot from me.
There you go. Well, we certainly appreciate having you on the show, Dr. Yox. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for hosting me. And thanks for sharing so much insights. That's unbelievable. I spend a lot of time to checking all your podcasts, and you do a lot for people because, yeah, absolutely.
And thanks for helping to share the message too, so that we could do a lot for people as well. So there you go.
Help.
There you go. Thanks, Simonis, for tuning in. Ordered up where refined books are sold. May 16th, 2024, available. It's called Master the Art of Despites. Excuses shape our destiny, not our goals. So quit making excuses. There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go. Thank you, Dr. Yox. Thanks, artists, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.